similar tools that do. I want this shining at the work. That's better. Do a similar job. So we're going to see different shapes, sizes, and ideas of tools. So I decided that this gives me just about, everybody should have a mallet. So we have to start by finding and marking the center. I'm lucky I got one of these. If you don't, just put it corner to corner. And sharpened screwdriver and a lovely little wooden handle. And then all I do is just follow the line in, and that's center. That's why a wood turner needs a mallet, you see. All right, so we got one end centered. You see the trick, you just put the point in the groove till it hits, and that's your center. None of this measuring and dividing by 2 and all that complicated stuff. I have to get used to this funny lathe again. This is a special drive spur that comes from one way to go with their Talon or their Stronghold chuck. Otherwise you've got to take the chuck off, you're going to drive the thing into the taper, you then have to knock it out. Every time I knock it out I can't catch it and it goes flying onto the floor. Okay, so first thing to do is make it round. For that, this was at one time a Nicholson's lathe file. It actually says that on it, Nicholson and lathe file. So if you heat treat this correctly, you can soften a file up enough to grind it. Then you have to heat treat it back hard enough to hold an edge. But you can turn a file into a cutting implement. I shall now shower pieces of wood everywhere. I like cutting quite a way up the wood, personally. And believe me, I'm not particularly good with skews, so this could be interesting. It was Mr. Loftus, wasn't it? Or Loftrum, Eric Loftrum, who we had the skew demo from by Zoom. I learned a lot from that man. You move in side to side while you're working this way. Not in and out, side to side, so your feet are sideways. Bend your knees a bit to get some shock absorbing. And once I've got it cutting, I try to keep the gouge at exactly the same angle with the cut in exactly the same place on the cutting edge. Because if you get too high, the sharp pointy bit called the toe sticks in, and if you get too low, if you overtake it and you turn it, it's going to catch the heel and throw it at you. So find a bevel, get a cut, and the gouge doesn't change attitude. I do not. If you do that with a skew, it will hurt. Still some flat spots, but we're getting rounder. So, and this cuts better when it's going fast. Very, very close to round. So that's Mr. Loftram's straight tip with a curve on. Then we've got Mr. Sorby's, I believe. Yeah, Robert Storby. This is the oval skew. Straight, standard straight angle, standard. This is a nice finishing skew. Once again, you know, find a bevel. That sounds good. And there's still just a little mark on it. However, we're close to round, so we can start shaping. Now, the annoying thing about this particular piece of maple is in going in one direction. In other words, that way I'm getting tear out, which is annoying. Anyway, of course, the one thing, oh no, I have a pencil. Ha! I forgot that. So, what we need to do is mark where that is going to be. And this is going to be the hammer end. That's going to be the handle end. So we now need to get closer. I still want it. I like to have this just about at the top of the live center there, so that the gouge, the skew, is riding at about 11 o'clock. You know, if that's a clock face, about here. I like cutting, you know, along that line. So, we got your standard rectangular 1 inch cheap Chinese. This is one of my bet. I can work this one real well. Now, I find my choice. I find if you have the tool at right angles, the blade is far too close to square. So I was coming at an angle, and we're right in the middle of the cutting edge. You could, of course, do this an awful lot quicker with a gouge, but this is purely to play with skews this evening. Now the diameter is getting smaller, the tool rest has to come down. So I believe that chattering is because I haven't got enough tool angle on. Yeah. Now that was, see how much damage that did. Ooh, that's a good one. Got a little bit too much cutting edge involved. Yep. Is this stuff ever cool? Let's see if I can do any faster with the big one. We could try this one. This one's fun. Tomislav Tomaszek showed this one on his channel. This is called a skew gouge. And basically what it is, I just took a round nose flat scraper and I put a much rounder nose on it and then cut it back so it's got a, so basically you've got a round cutting edge. Now with this, again, if the point touches, it's going to be unpleasant. So you have to cut below the point that way or below the point that way. So this is fun until it goes wrong. It's like any skew. It's fun until it goes wrong. We're now up at 1600. So again, you have to pick up the cutting edge. And again, because this is a much sharper cutback, I don't have to bring the tool around so far. I'm pretty well at right angles to the work. Right. Hey. Yeah, nasty little chip there. Yeah. Shredding rather badly. It doesn't like that one. Try another one. That's what we're here for. We now know why Sam Bat didn't make this into a baseball bat. So I want the end approximately 1 3/8. So, quickest way I know of making a tenon or anything like that is a beading parting tool, which is equally sharpened on both sides of the shaft. Find the cutting edge. There we go. That's it. So you can cheat and do it like that. So I'm trying to remember the shape of the handle I want to make. What are we going to use for that? Yeah, this one. So we have to have a groove here for the finger and thumb, and then a ball for the center 2 fingers. So this is cutting a cove, I believe. Now, So that gives me a nice little ring that my fingers go into. I've never made a handle this shape before, so it's fun. Cheeky little so-and-so. You notice that even though the gouge is changing positions, I'm trying to keep the cut in exactly the same place on the gouge, because as you saw, when it goes somewhere else, in other words it gets up offline, it jumps. I don't know how people do it. All the good boys manage to end up getting the two cuts joining. That's the nice thing about this skew gouge. It makes a wonderful round nose scraper. So, and for my extra large hand, that handle's a little short, isn't it? Yeah, I'll keep going. Exactly, that's what these are for. So you see I'm moving the gouge position. All right. So we are going to make now, as with a normal gouge, once you get it twisted out of skew, once you get it twisted over far enough, you can go to the tip. If it's nearly flat and you go to the tip, it's going to flip up at you. That feels surprisingly good. Okay. Nice thing about a beading parting tool, you want to bead, get your edge in, twist, edge in, twist. I feel surprisingly comfortable. Except there's a great big chip out of that, unfortunately. So negative rake means that if I were to present this at right angles to the job, straight, so it's hitting the wood like that, this here is negative rake, it's pointing down. And at that point it's a scraper. I'm using it to cut because I'm finding the bevel and we're a little bit far out. And I'm finding the bevel and then coming down and getting it to cut. Create the big lump out of there, unfortunately. So find the bevel, come back, find the cutting edge, right, twist. Now you can't cut coves with this thing. You can with this. Still a chip in it. Now this is negative rake scraping. Still a chip. That's good. So we have to clean this up because it's a bit rough. This tool rests a bit short now. All right. So we need to put some nice little grooves in it for traction. That's a nuisance. Further apart. This ain't gonna work, is it? So start the... Well, no. Now I remember how I did it at home. You start up here. Didn't have that trouble with my lathe. I saw you move. Still haven't it? Because every time I've tried this with a tape measure and a pencil, it hasn't worked. Then we come to the fun tool. And thank you very much, Jim, for the guitar strings. The nice thing about these, because they're wound, is the wire is at right angles to the wood. You know what would be a really nice little touch? Looks kind of cool, doesn't it? All right. Personally, I think that's too long myself. Handle I find comfortable. So I did cut more off the other one. Right, get that out of the way. So bevel, bring it back. Now you're cutting. These are reused by the Russians. I don't know if anybody's ever watched their videos of these guys using them on the dolls and the hollow spheres. There's one I've got 4 minutes and 44 seconds. And he has taken a lump of wood, turned it round, hollowed one end out, cut it down, taken it off, hollowed it again, put that back on and turned it freehand into a sphere in 4 minutes and 44 seconds. It is unbelievable. So basically it's just a skew, but the blade angle is far more extreme. So again, find your cutting edge carefully, or you can with this thing it's neat. I have to remember that the shaft on this starts a long way back, so you have to find the cutting edge. All right. Well, now we're experimenting, all of us. No, too slow. About halfway. No, it's not good for that. A back to this one. I like this one. Go back up there and all. I think that's tapered enough. So the surface is relatively good. A little so and so. Just taking a big chip out of it. That's one thing you can't do with a skew. You can cut that way and you can cut that way, but you can't cut uphill. You can't cut into the material. And that's just what I did. My fault. And I know better. Not quite. That's about got it. Now that I'm cutting nearly straight across, I can use the toe. Now you always want to leave a nice square end on this so that it will stand up. That's not a bad shape. So sanding and refining, and that will be that. Okay. So that was just pure scrape then, because I was going with the cutting edge straight into the wood. Alright, so there's the finished idea. It just needs sanding. That I can do at home. The annoying thing is that the groovies are quite annoying. So basically, so the idea of this shape handle is that it's a rocking handle. These things, if you want to go out and spend some money, are wonderful. This is the Beal collet truck system. They are wonderful for doing small pieces, and you just have to swallow the price. Hey, if you want to do it, it's going to cost you money. Doesn't matter what it is. Having a decent meal, going on vacation, buying a car, or getting some decent turning tools. It's going to cost you money. We're into something a little bit smaller, which, funnily enough, this great big heavy thing, I find is extremely good for. So same thing as a normal skew. Find your cutting edge. Now I was saying that, you know, this is really good on softer wood. This is ebony. So that is where, wrong button, these either diamond cards for a small decent stone are invaluable in that you can quickly dress a stone. Now, I liked it back there. So, see the polish on that, Ossie? And it's purely from the bevel friction. Okay. Thank God I had gloves on. Okay, so that's where I want to stop. let's see if I can cut a spear. No. As long as the point doesn't stick in, this tool is great. When the point sticks in, it does an awful lot of damage. Oh, I don't know. Okay, using the knife upside down. I should have tried to make another captive ring, shouldn't I? So we've got, let's see, we've got a cove, we've got a bead, we got another cove, we've got two beads, we've got all right. Now let's see how thin we can make it.
Next week we gotta make something to put the video on.
Hello, hello. I think that makes this end a little bit too big, doesn't it? That's a bit smaller. About as thin as I dare go. All right. Now, I'm going to take this away and we'll see what happens. Nothing.
Good job, Nigel.